Welcome to the deep dive. Okay, so you've shared a really interesting set of information with us about the Indian stock market, specifically looking at things as of Saturday, April 19th, 2025.
That's right. A lot going on.
Definitely. And our goal here is, well, to sift through all of it, the market reports, the upcoming earnings, what the RBI is saying, even some stock picks, and really pull out the key stuff for you.
Essentially, cut through the noise and give you the core insights, save you some time, bring some clarity to the recent moves.
Exactly. So we'll touch on that big market rally, the Q4 earnings that we're just about to drop, some liquidity concerns from the RBI, and those expert recommendations should give a pretty decent picture.
Sounds good. Let's jump in.
Okay, first up, this strong rally. 4 straight days leading up to Thursday the 17th. The Sensex closed way up there at 78,553. That's what, nearly 2%?
Yeah, 1.96% gain. And the Nifty 50 wasn't far behind, hitting 23,851, up 1.77%. Definitely a significant move.
So what was behind that surge? It feels like quite a bit happened.
It really wasn't just one single factor, which is interesting. A big piece was the news from the U.S. about a 90-day pause on certain tariffs.
Ah, right. That kind of news tends to ease global trade worries, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It reduces uncertainty, and investors generally react positively to that. Less friction, more optimism.
Okay, so that's the global angle. What about flows? I saw something about foreign institutional investors, FIIs.
Yes, there were signs, or maybe hopes, of a potential shift in FII activity, maybe less selling, perhaps even some buying starting up again.
And that matters because,
Well, when foreign money starts coming back into the market in a serious way, it provides, significant buying support. It signals confidence.
got it. So global trade relief plus maybe foreign investors feeling a bit more positive. What about domestically?
Domestically, we had some encouraging signs too. The CPI data, Consumer Price Index, showed inflation easing a bit,
Always welcome news.
always. Plus, there was the forecast for a normal monsoon season.
Okay, now, connect the dots for me. How does a weather forecast, like the monsoon, impact the stock market?
It's actually a huge deal in India. A good monsoon is critical for agriculture. Strong farm output boosts rural incomes, drives consumption, and generally supports economic stability.
Right, and that economic stability might make the RBI feel more comfortable, maybe even think about rate cuts down the line.
That's the hope, yes.
Yeah.
If inflation is under control and the economy looks stable, partly thanks to a good monsoon, it creates space for the central bank to potentially ease policy later. Markets like that possibility.
Makes sense. And I think there was also mention of progress on trade talks. India-US, India-China.
Correct. Positive movement on those fronts also added to the generally supportive backdrop. So you see, it was really a mix of things.
A confluence, yeah. Global factors, FII flows, domestic indicators, trade talks, all sort of pushing in the same direction.
Precisely, creating that bullish trend we saw over those 4 days.
Okay, but then shifting gears slightly. On Saturday the 19th, some big banks, HDFC, ICICI, Yes Bank, were due to report their Q4 earnings.
Right. And the expectation there was, well, a bit different from the market's general mood.
How so? More muted.
Generally, yes. Analysts were flagging potentially moderate growth in loans and deposits, the core business of banking,
Okay.
and also continued pressure on net interest margins. That's the spread between what they earn on loans and pay on deposits. Plus some ongoing challenges in unsecured loans and the microfinance space.
So higher potential risks there.
Potentially higher credit costs, yes.
Ah.
Now, it wasn't all negative. The analysis did mention that things like regulatory changes or recoveries on older bad loans might help offset some of that pressure.
But the overall picture for bank earnings wasn't quite as, let's say, exuberant as the rally suggested.
Exactly. It's an interesting contrast. The broad market is surging, but a key sector like banking might be showing more moderate, maybe even slightly challenged underlying performance for that quarter.
That does make you think, doesn't it, about how sustainable the rally is if the banks aren't quite firing on all cylinders.
It raises that question for sure. It highlights the difference between market sentiment, often driven by broader news, and the sort of on-the-ground financial results of major companies.
Okay, another important point flagged was from the RBI Governor Sanjay Malhotra. Concerns about market liquidity, what's that about?
Yeah, this is quite technical but important. He specifically mentioned dwindling liquidity in the call money market.
The call money market, that's where banks lend to each other overnight, basically.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Super short-term lending. It's like the plumbing of the financial system. The issue he raised was asymmetries between different money market rates. Things weren't quite aligned.
Meaning the flow wasn't smooth.
Kind of. If liquidity dries up in a key part like the call market, or if rates in different short-term markets are out of whack, it can actually hinder how effectively the RBI's monetary policy gets transmitted through the system.
So if the RBI adjusts interest rates, it might not filter through the economy as efficiently as intended.
That's the potential problem, yes. Smooth liquidity is crucial for the system to function properly and for policy to work effectively. So the governor raising this concern is definitely something to note.
Right. So we have this buoyant market, potentially cautious bank earnings, and now a central bank highlighting some friction in the financial plumbing. Quite a mix.
It really is. Lots of different signals.
And just for context, the markets were closed on Friday, April 18th for Good Friday, right? Reopening Monday the 21st.
Correct. So that Saturday earnings news and the governor's comments would hit the market fresh on Monday, gave people the weekend to digest.
Okay. And looking ahead to that reopening week, we also got some stock recommendations from Sumit Bagadia at Choice Broking.
Yes, he pointed to State Bank of India, SBI, Bajaj Finserv, and Grasim Industries.
And the rationale behind those picks.
Primarily based on technical analysis, according to the source material, looking at chart patterns, price movements, trading volumes.
So finding stocks whose charts looked strong? Essentially, yes. Identifying patterns that, in technical analysis terms, suggest potential for continued upward movement, especially given the overall bullish market trend at that time.
Riding the momentum, perhaps.
That seems to be part of the thinking, yes. Combining the specific stock's technical setup with the broader market sentiment.
Okay. And of course, we should always remember these are expert opinions based on analysis at a specific point in time, not crystal ball predictions.
Absolutely. It's information analysis, not financial advice. And for those wanting more detail, there's apparently a Z Business segment on the 19th covering the markets.
Right. Likely digging deeper into those earnings and everything else. Good to have multiple sources.
Always.
So let's just quickly recap. We had that strong rally fueled by global factors like the tariff pause, potential FII shifts, and positive domestic news like CPI and the monsoon forecast.
But balanced against that, we had the prospect of somewhat muted Q4 bank earnings.
And the RBI governor's flag about liquidity possibly tightening in parts of the money market. Plus those specific stock picks based on technicals for the week ahead.
So putting it all together, the big question for you listening is probably, what takes precedence moving forward? Does that powerful positive sentiment carry the day?
Or do the underlying bank results and those liquidity concerns start to weigh on the market a bit more?
It's definitely a fascinating setup for the week that was about to begin back then. Lots for investors to watch.
Indeed. Understanding the market means looking at all these layers, the big picture trends, sector specifics like banking, and the fundamental health signals like liquidity. It'll be interesting to see how the market processed all that.